All right, everyone, so this is Miss McLaughlin. So today we're going to be looking at how to read a document. So we're going to do an example right now. So this is document 1. The title is Paleolithic Era, Old Stone Age, 2 million BCE to 8,000 BCE. Remember, BCE stands for Before Common Era. So this is our title. Now, when reading a document, it is very important that you read all of the information, because when you're answering the questions that follow each document, the answers are found right in the document. So, also, I'm going to be underlining or highlighting any important information because that will help me answer my questions that follow. All right, so I think the Paleolithic Era, Old Stone Age, is important because that's our title. Now, next we have lifestyle. So, lifestyle, they were nomadic, which means that people traveled from place to place to place in search of food. They lived in groups up to 50. They were a tribal society, and they were called hunter-gatherers, which we've been talking about. We kind of gave them that nickname, hunter-gatherers, because that's how they got their food, the two different ways. So I think that's important. So I'm going to circle nomadic or highlight it, and hunters and gatherers. Next, economy. There was no concept of private property, which means that people did not have their own belongings back then in the Paleolithic era. People would gather and hunt all this different food, and they would use it to contribute to the tribe's greater good, meaning that a tribe was a whole. Think of like maybe a whole family. So they would all supply the food, and then everyone would be able to use it. Next, art. Art, they had cave paintings and pottery. We've been looking a lot at the Paleolithic art. Okay, so the cave paintings and pottery, which we've been talking a lot about, I think that's important to highlight. Next, we have technology. Now, when you usually think of technology, I might think of, iPads, computers, cell phones, things like that. You might think of video games as technology. But technology that we've been focusing on the Paleolithic era, word technology means anything that makes your life easier. So the technology used in the Paleolithic era would be fire and rough stone tools. So I'm going to highlight fire and stone tools. So those things made life for the Paleolithic people easier. And next we have food. So they hunted and gathered for their food, which is important. Remember our nickname that we gave them. And people followed animal herds that they hunted and moved locations when wild plants in other areas were ripe. So think of migration. Now, number 1 is our question down here. Based on the table in document 1, identify 2 characteristics of life in the Paleolithic era. So 2. It's bolded for you, it stands out, and then there's 2 boxes that follow right below it. Okay, so we have our 2 boxes right below it. So 2 characteristics. Now, characteristics is telling you what we want you to do to answer the question is tell about the Paleolithic era. So what's something that I know? 2 things that I know from the Paleolithic era. Now, we are not going to use your prior knowledge to answer the question, right? Things that you already know about the Paleolithic era. When reading a document, your answers need to be pulled from the document itself. So I did this one already for you. So first one, I'm going to slide up, is one characteristic of life in the Paleolithic era is that people lived a nomadic lifestyle. Now that is taken directly from the document above. Second one, a second characteristic of life in the Paleolithic era is that people hunted and gathered food. Again, that is taken directly from the document. Okay, now look at my answers for a moment. As you can see, I restated the question being asked and I wrote in a complete sentence. Remember, I am very particular when it comes to writing. ELA is such an important concept, writing in all of your subjects. So now that we're doing a lot more writing in social studies, I expect this format, which we've been talking about. So restating and answering in a complete sentence. Again, a reminder, when you are answering document-based questions, You are not using information that you already know about whatever the topic is, in this case, a Paleolithic era. You are only using the answers found in the Word document.